everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about how I use my iPad as a graduate student. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Serena and I'm a biology PhD student at UC Santa Barbara. I am in my second year of the program and I finally took the leap to getting an iPad this past summer, and it has honestly been transformative when it comes to my studies. So I thought I'd do a video showing you what apps I have and how I specifically use the iPad to enhance my studies. So before I get into showing you that, I just wanted to show you like which model I have. So I have the iPad Air 3 and I have the 64 gigabyte amount of storage. So I have this cute pink case on it. It's just, a basic one that I found on Amazon. I can link it in the description. And I also have the Apple Pencil first generation, which is compatible with this model. It looks like this. Okay, so now that I've kind of given you that preface of which model iPad I have, let's jump into the video and I'll show you what apps I have and how I use them. Okay, so this is the main screen of my iPad. I keep all of my apps on the front screen, and as you can see, I don't have that many. I mean, I don't think it's that many, maybe it is, but yeah, so I try to keep my iPad pretty distraction free. I don't really want to have any games or social media on here. I do have the Instagram app, as you can see, and I'll explain why I have that later, but one thing that I do recommend if you have an iPad that you're primarily using as a graduate student or as a student in general is to turn all of your notifications off for every single app that you have, because it's extremely distracting when you're getting text messages and email notifications or just any notification in general when you're trying to study or take notes or read a paper. And you're already getting those notifications to your phone, maybe to your MacBook, maybe to your Apple Watch. So for me personally, getting bombarded with notifications on all four of my different Apple products was a lot. And once I turned all of my notifications off on my iPad, I found that my productivity really increased. Okay, so getting into what apps I have on my iPad. As you can see, the top row is just kind of the default apps that come with the iPad. Don't really use these that much. I do like to use the calendar app sometimes, I'll just pull it up on my iPad and prop my iPad up to the side like an additional monitor and just have that up so I can check it throughout the day. And then I have the Zoom app for my iPad, which I don't actually use that much, but I just figured it'd be good to have during these times. And then the next app I have is this Scan Pro app, which I haven't actually used before, but I think that this would be great for maybe if your professor hands out paper worksheets, you can scan it onto your iPad and then write on it using your iPad. The next app I have is Slack, which is just a messaging app that I use with people in my graduate program. So the next two apps are note-taking apps, and they are Notability and GoodNotes. So I definitely use GoodNotes a lot more often than Notability, but I do use Notability sometimes. I think it's really nice for drawing schematics or diagrams that I will then use in a PowerPoint presentation. So I'll just show you an example of what I mean. So when I make PowerPoint presentations, I oftentimes use a black background. So if I need to include a drawn figure, I will just make the background black in Notability and then use the different pen colors and draw a little picture. And I'm definitely not the best artist, but if you are pretty good at drawing and you have neat handwriting, then this is a really good option for if you need to make a quick and easy diagram for a presentation. It's definitely not publication worthy, but for a group meeting presentation or maybe a class project, I think that this is a great option. Of course, Notability is also a great app for note-taking or for annotating papers, and I know a lot of people prefer Notability, but for some reason I really just like GoodNotes better, and in a second I will show you what GoodNotes is all about. Okay, so here's the GoodNotes app. I use this app for pretty much everything. As you can see, I have three kind of main folders for classes, personal stuff, and the lab that I work in. So of course for classes, I like to organize into subfolders, which I'll show you in a second for each class, and save, any papers that I had to read for that class, and I have separate notebooks for each class. And then in personal, I have like my personal journal. I have like a journal where I jot down recipe ideas or like meal prep ideas. Um, and then in my lab folder, I have my kind of like lab notebook. It's not my official lab notebook, but essentially like scrap paper where I can like quickly do calculations or jot things down. And then any papers that I have to read for lab or that I'm interested in. So this is my classes folder. I don't really take many classes as a graduate student, but I'm in a journal club. I took this really cool diversity in STEM class this past quarter, and then biological dynamics is the class that I was TAing this past quarter. But I also attended the lectures just so I could, learn as I went and stuff like that. So within the journal club folder, you can see I just have all these different papers saved from the different papers that we read for journal club. And if you look at any, you can see, where I highlighted and where I wrote little notes and annotated, and I just think it's a great feature. So there's all sorts of highlighter colors. They're kind of at the top towards the right, and if you double click, you can get even more colors, really any color you could want. And you can adjust the highlighter size, so lots of customizations available. And then the same goes for the pen. There's all different pen colors, and you can also adjust to have any size pen you would like. And there's also 3 types of pen: the fountain pen, the ball pen, and the brush pen. And I prefer the ball pen, but I know a lot of people prefer the brush pen. I love reading papers on the iPad because of this feature of annotating and highlighting, but also because you can zoom in on figures and still maintain that really nice resolution. I know some figures can get pretty small in papers, and it's nice to be able to just look at all of them super up close and with really nice resolution. So this is my personal folder. As you can see, I don't have as much in here, but just kind of some random things: monthly budgeting worksheet, my video ideas, and my personal journals. And then this is my lab folder. So I have lab notes, all different papers that I was reading related to my research. I have a notebook where I keep track of fellowship stuff. And then I also have, folders within folders. I have my qualifying exam folder with 2 more notebooks and lots of paper saved in here. And I tried to be as organized as possible during this time. So the papers are saved into different folders based on category or like kind of what they were about, just so I could like easily go back and find papers, about phase separation, for example. So you can see I have all sorts of papers saved, and I can easily open them and go back to where I highlighted. You can open up all the pages at once, and that way you can like see where you actually read and highlighted and stuff. But yeah, so I really like the GoodNotes format of organization. I think it makes more sense to me than Notability, just personally, like having it in folders. It looks like the Finder app. If you have like other Mac products, it looks very similar to that. So I'm just showing you here an example of like some notes that I was jotting down during my qualifying exam, and it really is like having a real life paper notebook, except you're obviously saving paper and it's just all in one place. And this was especially useful when I was reading like 20 different papers, and if I had to print out all of the papers that I had read, it probably would have been a whole stack of printer paper, and things would have gotten messy and I might have lost things. So I just really like that I can have everything in one place always. And just to show you a comparison of how Notability is organized, it's more like tabs on the side. And I know a lot of people do like that, so it's really just whatever works for you. You can't exactly go wrong either way, but there still is good organization with Notability. As you can see, there's subjects and dividers, but personally, I just tend to like GoodNotes better. Okay, moving forward, showing you my other apps. The next folder I have is for documents. So I have Files, which is like Finder, just basically any documents that are shared via iCloud. And then I also have the like Google Drive as well, just so I can access my files anywhere. And then I have the Microsoft apps, so Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, so that if I wanted to open up or edit those kinds of documents on my laptop, on my Mac, oh my gosh, on my iPad, I could. I don't tend to do that, but I have before occasionally. The next app I have is Instagram, and honestly, this app is not very good for iPad, but the reason I have it is because my Core Power Yoga studio posts IGTV yoga classes on there, so essentially I can just, follow along from Instagram, but I find that my phone screen's a little bit too small, so I like to use my iPad. So that's why I have Instagram, but I don't think it really looks that good on the iPad. It kind of looks like if you ever go on Instagram like on a browser, that's kind of how it looks. And then I just have Amazon and Airbnb just for browsing purposes. I kind of really like browsing stuff like that on the big screen, like on my iPad versus on my phone. So yeah, I mean, I don't use the apps that much, but they're nice to have. And then I have Procreate. I just recently downloaded this and I really want to take the time, maybe over the holidays, to like seriously learn how to use this, like watch YouTube videos and stuff. But I know that this is a great app. You've probably heard of it. It's really great for artists. And I want to take the time to learn how to use it as well. And then next, I have a folder for streaming apps. So I have YouTube, Netflix, and Fios TV, which I never use. I should probably delete that one. But I do use YouTube and sometimes Netflix on my iPad. My iPad case can like prop the iPad up in a way where it's like easy to watch stuff. So I do use YouTube a lot while I'm eating, like so I can like watch videos on my iPad. And then Netflix is great for like if you're traveling on a plane, you can watch things without having to like take out your whole computer. And then the next folder of apps I have is for like food. So I have a bunch of like recipe apps, so like Tasty, All Recipes, Epicurious, and HelloFresh all have recipes on there that I like to browse. And then I have Yelp just for looking at like restaurant reviews before I order out or something like that. And then I have the Our Groceries app, which is essentially it's a grocery list app. And I like to keep that on my iPad just so that while I'm browsing through the recipe apps, if I find a recipe I like, I can then immediately like add any ingredients I need into the grocery app. And I also have the app on my phone, so when I go grocery shopping, I can just look at it and see what I need. So I also wanted to mention that another way that I use my iPad as a graduate student is for TAing or for giving presentations in general. You can use your iPad as a whiteboard and connect it to Zoom when you're presenting, and it's a really great tool for this pandemic time where we kind of have to use like virtual whiteboards, and it's kind of difficult to use the Zoom whiteboard like with your cursor. I find that that's extremely messy and it doesn't end up coming out good. So I think having a tablet like an iPad, for example, and having the pencil just makes your life so much easier when you need to teach. So I've definitely done this before, and I also used this for my qualifying exams because I had to give like a chalk talk, and I did my chalk talk using this exact feature. So that is it for this video. Hopefully you found that informative and maybe I inspired you to get an iPad of your own. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment below. I will definitely respond. And yeah, thank you for watching. See you in my next video.